Beyond every illusion lies a deeper truth. Welcome to Beyond the Illusion with the R-TisT-O. Welcome to episode 8 When Magic Feels Real. Once again, thank you for listening. People walk into a magic performance expecting to be entertained. They expect tricks, secrets, sleight of hand. But every once in a while, something different happens. The illusion stops feeling like performance. And for a brief moment, it feels real. I've seen that moment happen many times over the years. The laughter disappears, people become quieter, the expression on their faces change. And suddenly, they're no longer trying to solve the trick. They're trying to understand what just happened. That's when illusion becomes powerful. Not because people truly believe reality has changed, but because emotion temporarily becomes stronger than logic. I think that's why certain tricks affect people differently. Some illusions create laughter, others create wonder, and some create discomfort. Like the devil, oh, the devil is helping you. Uh, I'll tell you something. If you ever want to truly understand how adults react to magic, watch a live illusion show. Go to the theater and watch a magic show. Because an illusion, most people can dismiss things as camera tricks. That's the easy explanation. I'm sure you're all with me when I say, oh, it's just a camera trick. It's editing, special effects, television magic. But seeing an illusion happen live on stage right in front of your eyes is a completely different experience. I still remember watching David Copperfield perform the laser illusion live. I don't know if you're familiar with that or you've seen it on his shows on TV or not, but the moment where he appeared to cut himself in half with a laser and then actually walked across the stage separated, holding his bottom half, and then actually walked across the stage separated, holding his bottom half, basically holding his legs as he walked down the ramp that was on the stage. On television, you might say, yeah, okay, camera tricks. But seeing that happen live just a few feet away was unforgettable. And honestly, every live magic show I attended left me with the same feeling: curiosity, wonder, the desire to learn more. Over the years, I was fortunate enough to watch many incredible performers live. Nathan Burton, Chris Angel, Rick Thomas, uh, Dirk Arthur, Steve. I think his last name is Wyrick or Warwick, or I never figured out what the pronunciation of his last name was. Mac King, very funny. Melinda, I believe back then she was Melinda, the woman of magic or magic of, I don't know, I forgot, but it was Melinda. Juliana Chen, very good. Mark and Ginger, husband and wife. Watched that show like 3 times. You know, funny story I like to share about Mark and Ginger. The 2 times that I went, the first time I went with my friend. He ended up being called on stage to be the witness and verify the cutting saw girl in half. He held the leather rope or whatever it was, and he jokingly reached in and touched the legs of Ginger to see if it was real or not. And at that time, yeah, she's like, "Hey, you can't do that." I started laughing. It was funny. The second time I took my son, they called him up there. It was funny, but they did a totally different um, illusion. It was a bunch of little questions. What are you gonna do if you had a date with this girl? What are you gonna buy her? Where are you gonna take her? And all that stuff. But it was pretty funny. It was funny how um, 2 times I go there and they call someone that I know. Time ago, and every one of those performers taught me something important. Magic feels different when it happens live. When you actually go into the theater and watch a magic show, because in that moment, the mind loses the comfort of blaming the camera. And honestly, uh, those are usually the moments people remember forever. Not because they saw a trick, but because for a brief second, the impossible felt real. I noticed amazement and fear are sometimes very close to each other, especially when an illusion feels too impossible. At first, people laugh, they smile, they try to figure it out, but then something changes. The mind reaches a point where logic stops keeping up, and that's when emotion takes over. I've seen spectators become completely silent after an illusion, like my family member who thought the devil was helping me. Not because they disliked it, but because part of them genuinely didn't know what to believe anymore. That's what makes certain magic effects so powerful. Not the method, not the gimmick, but the feeling. A floating object moving by itself, a prediction appearing where it shouldn't, a chosen card appearing somewhere impossible. Those moments temporarily break the normal rules people depend on, and honestly, different people handle that feeling differently. Some laugh, some become curious, and others become uncomfortable. I remember another David Copperfield illusion that completely changed the atmosphere of the entire theater. Different time, different show. This illusion was completely new to me at that time. Copperfield walked on the stage and introduced a small alien character, almost like a tiny living creature. He began talking about life, loneliness, and how the little alien wanted to return home. And honestly, the audience became emotionally attached to it. People were smiling, watching carefully, completely focused on the stage. Then suddenly, everything changed. Within a second, the theater lights went completely dark, and above the audience, a UFO appeared out of nowhere. Bright lights, huge UFO. The entire theater froze. You can hear the emotions like, ah, cool. The object floated quietly through the darkness toward the stage. And then a beam of light suddenly shot downward, right on the little alien. And slowly the creature began rising upward into the UFO. The audience was completely silent. Nobody moving, nobody talking, yet you can feel the energy of surprised eyes. Um, just hundreds of people staring at something that felt impossible. Then the UFO drifted across the theater over the stage behind the scenery, and suddenly the large screens turned on, showing the outside of the MGM hotel as the UFO appeared to fly away into the night. And I'll never forget the energy inside that theater. 1 second completely silence, and the next pure amazement. Even today, my son still talks about that illusion. He ended up going back to see the show multiple times, even bringing his little sister along later. Great illusions are not only about fooling people, but creating an experience strong enough to temporarily change the way reality feels. And honestly, that feeling can stay with people for years. I still remember certain reactions from spectators more clearly than the tricks themselves. The excitement afterwards, the confusion, the expression on their faces, because for a brief moment they experienced something they couldn't immediately explain. One time, I was in a gathering, and they wanted to see a magic trick, and I knew they were going to ask it, so I brought a couple ahead of time. I don't know if you're familiar with the coin bag, the one that you hold, and and you show it it's empty, and there's something there. I used that plus the Svengali deck, and I used like, I don't know, 8 people. They all chose a card, and I told them, don't show it to anybody, don't say anything, pick a card. And after everyone picked a card, I said, I'm gonna count to 3. Everyone scream out loud your card. And of course, after the 3 they had all picked the same card because it was a Svengali card deck. And then I said, now imagine you have your card, crumble it up. Well, before I told them to, scream out your card, I told them to crumble it. And imagine you're crumbling your card and you're going to toss it into this bag. I stayed away from them. They acted like they tossed the bag into the, and tossed the card into the bag. And then I said, okay, and they would count to 3, go ahead and scream out your card. And they all screamed, I think it was a 7 of hearts. 7 of hearts. Oh my God, they were all shocked. How did we all pick the same card? And I said, it was so amazing because I told you this bag was empty, there was nothing there, and your imagination caused what is about to happen. And I pulled the 8 of hearts out of the bag, and cheers, cheers, cheers. Everyone was happy. So because for a brief moment they experienced something they couldn't immediately explain. Life becomes predictable, routine, logical, and magic or illusion interrupts that feeling. Even if only for a few seconds, magic reminds people what wonder feels like. One of the greatest examples of this is Harry Houdini. Even today, more than 100 years later, people still recognize that name. That's the true power of illusion. Houdini performed thousands of escapes, stunts, and impossible demonstrations throughout his life. Locked chains, water tanks, handcuffs, impossible escapes. And honestly, most people probably can't even remember every single illusion he ever performed, but somehow the name remains unforgettable. That's what fascinates me about great magicians. Eventually, the details of the tricks fade away, but the feeling survives. The mystery survives. The legend survives. And maybe that's why Houdini became larger than magic itself. Because he didn't only perform illusions, he created an experience people carried with him long after the performance ended. Even today, when people think about impossible escapes or mysteries, the name Houdini still appears. That's the real power of wonder. Not simply creating a moment, but creating something people never forget. Looking back now, I don't think the greatest magicians were only performing tricks. I think they were creating moments people carry with them long after the show ended. Moments where reality felt larger, stranger, and more mysterious than before. That's the true power of illusion. Not changing reality, but changing the way people experience it. This is Beyond the Illusion with the R-TisT-O. And remember, long after the illusion fades, what remains is the legacy we leave behind. Create your legacy.